In the quiet space where reflection begins, the mind often questions whether prioritizing oneself is an act of selfishness or a sacred responsibility. Many carry the weight of expectations, rushing to meet obligations and forgetting the silent call of their own spirit. This introduction is not about hurried advice or promises of instant change. It is a doorway into a deeper exploration of why placing yourself at the center of your journey is the very foundation of transformation. When you dare to pause and listen inwardly, you are not abandoning the world. You are tuning your entire being to a frequency that can finally hear the universe's whispers. To prioritize yourself is to acknowledge the subtle truth that the energy you emit is not separate from the life you live. Every thought, every feeling, and every breath creates ripples that echo into your reality. When your inner state is scattered, reality mirrors confusion. When your heart and mind stand in coherence, life begins to reflect harmony. Neuroscience shows us that the heart generates a powerful electromagnetic field that influences the brain. But beyond science lies a spiritual recognition. The heart is not only a muscle, it is a compass. When aligned with clarity and presence, it guides you toward choices that sustain your essence, not drain it. The pain of disconnection, the heaviness of unresolved wounds, the silence that follows unanswered prayers, these are not signs of failure but invitations. They are reminders that your energy longs for coherence, that your body asks for presence, that your soul needs you to return. Self-prioritization becomes the healing act that stabilizes the nervous system, clears emotional noise, and reopens the dialogue with the unseen. It is like tuning a radio dial. Between stations, all you hear is static, but when the frequency finds its exact place, music emerges. Prioritizing yourself is that fine adjustment. It transforms static into guidance, chaos into flow, and silence into the voice of the universe reminding you that you are never alone on this path. There is a quiet battle that many carry within themselves, a battle between the need to serve others and the silent cry of their own soul asking for space, rest, and attention. The feeling of guilt that arises when you say no, the anxiety that lingers when you set a boundary, and the constant availability that erodes your inner reserves are all manifestations of a deeper wound, the belief that prioritizing yourself is selfish. Yet to prioritize yourself is not to abandon those you love or to close your heart to the world. It is to regulate the very field of energy that makes you capable of loving, giving, and creating with authenticity. Without that regulation, you are like a compass in a storm, its needle spinning wildly without direction. The invisible truth is that manifestation is not built upon words or desires alone. It is constructed upon the coherence between body, mind, and spirit. Interoception, the subtle awareness of your inner states, becomes the hidden foundation of this process. Without noticing your own heartbeat, breath, or tension, your intentions remain suspended in the realm of ideas, disconnected from the vessel that must carry them. When you bring awareness to your inner sensations, you are not simply observing, you are tuning the dial of your frequency. The body stops fighting itself, the nervous system shifts from survival into presence, and your field becomes coherent. In that coherence, your desires stop being whispers lost in static and become clear signals transmitted into the fabric of reality. What often surprises people is that manifestation does not require greater faith or louder affirmations. It requires less resistance within your body. The energy that you waste suppressing emotions, forcing yourself to please, or pushing past exhaustion, is the very energy that could stabilize your vibration. When the nervous system is locked in threat, every intention feels like a battle against gravity. When the body is calm and safe, intention flows as naturally as breath. This is the counterintuitive key. Manifestation begins not by adding more effort, but by allowing less inner conflict. One way to enter this state of regulation is through small, deliberate rituals. Imagine a daily rhythm where you begin with 10 slow, coherent breaths, each one lasting between 4 and 6 seconds, followed by 10 lines of inner writing, where you give voice to what your body feels without judgment. You then move into 10 minutes of singular focus, dedicating attention fully to one task, one movement, or one word. In just half an hour, you have stabilized your field, transformed your energy from fragmented to centered, and created a signature that the universe can recognize. This ritual is not about perfection, but about repetition. Every day you return, you build coherence, and coherence becomes magnetic. To understand the importance of this, picture a compass in the middle of a storm. When the winds rage and the needle spins without pause, no traveler can trust its direction. But as soon as the storm calms, the needle steadies, pointing north with clarity. Your life is much the same. Without inner regulation, you are tossed between obligations, moods, and demands. But when you prioritize yourself, the storm subsides and your inner compass aligns, guiding you through choices that are coherent with your essence. It is essential to recognize the subtle traps that pull you away from this regulation. Many confuse giving with abandoning themselves. They believe that to help is to pour until empty, forgetting that a vessel without water cannot quench anyone's thirst. Others mask their avoidance of conflict with spirituality, using words like peace and harmony, while silently betraying their boundaries. True peace does not emerge from avoidance. It emerges from clear limits that honor your integrity. Each time you betray your inner truth, your vibration lowers and coherence breaks. The journey towards self-prioritization also demands the courage to face inherited guilt. From childhood, many have been conditioned to equate self-care with selfishness, to equate boundaries with rejection. This guilt is a silent saboteur, a subtle background noise that lowers your frequency without you noticing. Every time you feel guilt for resting, saying no, or claiming space, you are being asked to reprogram a belief that no longer serves your expansion. Recognize the guilt, breathe through it, and remind yourself, coherence is not selfish, it is essential. Consider practicing a daily declaration of boundaries, not in confrontation, but in calm presence. Choose one situation where your truth asks you to say no. Before speaking, breathe deeply. Ground yourself and then express your no with clarity and kindness, without over-explaining or apologizing excessively. This simple act is a training of your nervous system, a recalibration of your frequency, and a message to the universe that you are ready to live in alignment. Over time, each small boundary becomes a thread that weaves a fabric of authenticity, and authenticity is the material from which manifestation is woven. The myths around self-prioritization often distort its beauty. Many insist that to focus on yourself is to close your heart. In reality, to care for yourself is to clean the lens through which you love. When you are exhausted, your love is tainted with resentment. When you are fragmented, your giving is mixed with expectation. But when you are coherent, your love flows freely, unburdened and radiant. Self-prioritization does not reduce your capacity to give. It refines it, amplifies it, and anchors it in truth. At the center of all this lies the recognition that your energy is your greatest currency. Every interaction, every creation, every desire you project into the universe is fueled by that energy. If you neglect it, you send signals of chaos and confusion. If you honor it, you emit clarity and magnetism. Self-prioritization is therefore not indulgence, it is spiritual hygiene. It is the act of ensuring that the frequency you offer is clean, coherent, and aligned with the reality you wish to call forth. In that clarity, the universe responds not to words alone, but to the harmony of your being. There are moments in life when silence feels heavy, when prayers seem unanswered, and when the world appears indifferent to our deepest desires. In those moments, many long for a sign, a confirmation that the universe is listening. Yet the craving for signs often creates anxiety, a restless search that blinds the heart to the very whispers it longs to hear. The truth is that the universe does not speak in noise or drama, it speaks in coherence. And coherence is not a mystical abstraction, it is a state of alignment between your emotions, your body, and your awareness. Anxiety for signs is born out of dissonance. When the nervous system is unsettled, the mind becomes compulsive, hunting for symbols in every shadow, a sequence of numbers, a phrase overheard, a coincidence at the grocery store. Each is interrogated, often with desperation. But without emotional coherence, the meaning remains distorted. The practice is not about chasing signs, but about becoming the kind of field that perceives them clearly. When your heart and mind are synchronized, subtle patterns no longer look random. They reveal themselves as melodies hidden in silence. Science offers us a glimpse of why this happens. Research into heart-brain coherence shows that when the heart generates a stable rhythm, It reduces noise in the reticular activating system, the brain's gatekeeper of attention. In simple terms, when your heart is calm, your mind becomes precise, able to notice relevant patterns instead of drowning in static. This physiological harmony explains what mystics have always taught. Clarity is born in stillness, not in pursuit. When silence is cultivated, the universe's language grows louder. This is why silence itself is a powerful transmitter. Many underestimate the role of cultivated stillness, assuming that words and intentions are enough to bend reality. Yet intention without physiological grounding is like shouting into a storm. The words are carried away by the wind, but when the body is calm, the silence becomes the amplifier. A brief practice of 7 to 12 minutes of guided silence, paired with a written intention reduced to a single sensory phrase, can shift the entire energetic signature of your day. Add to this the habit of noting synchronicities with emotional context, date, feeling, and microaction, and you create a dialogue with the unseen. Over time, you no longer wonder if signs exist. You recognize them as part of an ongoing conversation. Picture a radio carefully tuned. Between stations, only static fills the air. But when the dial is precise, a symphony emerges. This is the difference between a restless mind scanning endlessly for signs and a coherent heart that perceives them naturally. Signs are not rare gifts for the chosen few. They are frequencies available to all who align their inner instruments. When your field is calm, you begin to notice how a song on the radio answers your thought, how a stranger's sentence echoes your inner prayer, how an opportunity appears the moment you release fear. Yet there are pitfalls along the way. One of them is the pursuit of the perfect sign. Many wait for a dramatic, unmistakable symbol, ignoring the subtle patterns that weave gently through their days. Another trap is the confusion between relief and alignment. Temporary relief from anxiety is not the same as being attuned to guidance. Relief soothes the surface, but coherence transforms the depth. To cultivate true alignment, one must train the perception of small cues, noting them without judgment, and integrating them into a lived rhythm of trust. It is also vital to recognize the hidden cost of comparison. In spiritual communities, individuals often share stories of extraordinary signs, visions, or synchronicities. Listening with curiosity is healthy, but comparison erodes your frequency. The universe does not need to speak to you in the same way it speaks to another. Your signs are crafted for your path, in your language, through your lived experiences. To doubt them because they do not mirror someone else's narrative is to lower the volume of your own dialogue with the divine. A gentle, daily practice can reshape this relationship. Begin by ending your day with a brief reflection. Write down 3 moments that felt charged with meaning: a word, a look, an image, or even a silence that carried weight. Note not only what happened, but how it made you feel. Did it bring peace, curiosity, unease, or recognition? Over time, you will begin to trace patterns. You will see that certain emotions, when coherent, open doors to synchronicity. The practice is not about collecting evidence, but about cultivating intimacy with the subtle. To live in emotional coherence is to accept that the universe rarely shouts. Its voice is like wind through leaves, a softness that requires you to pause, breathe, and listen. When your body is in survival mode, you miss it. When your heart is calm, you receive it. This chapter is an invitation to transform your pursuit of signs into a receptive openness. Rather than demanding that the universe prove itself, allow yourself to become the field in which proof is unnecessary. The coherence you build becomes not only the foundation for perceiving signs, but also the evidence that you are already in dialogue with the universe. Each moment of clarity, each subtle recognition, each instance where silence reveals meaning is a reminder: you are not alone in this path. The universe speaks continuously, and when you prioritize coherence, its voice becomes unmistakable. Prosperity is often pursued as if it were an external prize, something to be earned through relentless effort or attained by repeating affirmations with increasing force. Yet for many, the harder they try, the more prosperity slips away, leaving frustration and exhaustion in its place. The hidden obstacle is rarely the absence of effort, but the presence of old beliefs, deeply rooted in the subconscious, that sabotage abundance before it can take form. To manifest prosperity, one must first rewire the internal patterns that dictate how reality is perceived and engaged. This is the work of neuroplasticity, not as a clinical concept, but as a lived experience. The garden of the mind can be weeded, replanted, and nourished until it bears new fruit. The experience of scarcity is not always financial. It can manifest as a chronic feeling that there is never enough time, energy, or love. These patterns often come from early conditioning, messages absorbed in childhood, cultural narratives of limitation, or experiences of failure that carved neural pathways of doubt. Over time, the brain becomes accustomed to scanning for lack, reinforcing cycles of fear and hesitation. In moments of opportunity, self-sabotage appears, not because the person desires failure, but because the nervous system recognizes lack as familiar and therefore safe. Escaping this cycle requires a deliberate reprogramming of the brain, a conscious rewriting of internal scripts. One of the most overlooked factors in this process is the regulation of dopamine. In its healthy rhythm, dopamine fuels motivation and the anticipation of reward. But when desires are imagined without corresponding action, the brain experiences dopamine spikes that never land in embodiment. The result is a cycle of excitement followed by disappointment, of envisioning prosperity but never inhabiting it. To break this cycle, visualization must be paired with somatic rehearsal, the practice of not only imagining the goal, but feeling it in the body, walking as if it were real, making micro-decisions that anchor the vision in behavior. Prosperity becomes coherent, not through fantasy, but through consistent alignment of thought, feeling, and action. Consider the framework of naming, sensing, and acting. Begin by naming the emotion that arises when you think of prosperity. Fear, doubt, excitement, or longing. Anchor that emotion in the body. Where is it felt? How does it move? What color or weight does it hold? Then write the raw belief beneath it, unfiltered. I am not capable. Money always leaves me. Or abundance is not for me. Finally, design a single micro-action that contradicts this belief. It might be saving a small amount with intention, reaching out for collaboration, or speaking a word of worthiness to yourself in the mirror. Each cycle of naming, sensing, and acting builds a new pathway. The brain rewires not through dramatic revelations, but through repeated acts of coherence. A metaphor helps illuminate this process. The mind is like a garden left untended. Old beliefs are weeds that grow automatically, spreading roots deeper with each season. To manifest prosperity, you must kneel in the soil, pull the weeds of doubt, enrich the earth with nourishing practices, and plant seeds of possibility. Each day you water these seeds with action and intention, the weeds lose their strength. Over time, the garden transforms, not because you demanded instant growth, but because you tended to it with patience and rhythm. Prosperity, like a garden, reveals itself in seasons, and coherence is the gardener's steady hand. This journey requires caution against common illusions. Many are seduced by promises of instant wealth that bypass the slow work of coherence. They punish themselves when results do not come quickly, mistaking delay for failure. Yet punishment only reinforces scarcity, draining the very energy needed to build new patterns. What liberates is compassion, the recognition that rewiring beliefs is not about perfection, but about persistence. Each time you choose alignment over self-sabotage, you strengthen new neural circuits. Language plays an unassuming but powerful role in this transformation. The phrases spoken internally, "I can't afford," "I'll never have enough," "It's too late," become self-fulfilling prophecies. Words are not mere sounds. They are vibrations that reinforce or dismantle neural pathways. Shifting language from scarcity to possibility, even in small ways, begins to reorient the mind toward abundance. Instead of "I can't," one might say, "I am finding a way." Instead of "It's too late," one might declare, "This is the moment I begin again." Over time, these subtle adjustments reshape the inner dialogue, cultivating coherence between belief and action. True prosperity is therefore not measured only in material terms, but in the stability of energy that sustains it. Wealth without coherence leads to anxiety and loss, while prosperity rooted in alignment generates peace, generosity, and expansion. To deprogram old beliefs is to free the nervous system from survival loops, to allow the body and mind to rest in a rhythm where abundance feels natural. This is not an abstract promise, but a tangible shift. As the brain rewires, opportunities once invisible become visible, and doors once closed begin to open. The work of deprogramming is not glamorous, but it is sacred. It asks you to face inherited stories, to release shame, and to build new circuits of trust. Each time you choose coherence, you declare to the universe that you are ready to receive prosperity, not as a fleeting event, but as a sustainable state of being. And the universe, responsive to coherence, answers not with silence but with synchronicity, guiding you step by step into a life where abundance is no longer an aspiration, but a lived reality. Life is not transformed by grand declarations made in moments of excitement, but by the quiet rhythm of choices repeated day after day. Many begin their journey of manifestation with passion, creating detailed visions and setting bold intentions, only to see their practice fade into inconsistency. The reason is not a lack of willpower, but a misunderstanding of rhythm. The universe does not require perfection, it requires availability. Prosperity, healing, and guidance are woven into the fabric of daily life, and it is the small, repeated acts of alignment that stabilize the field through which abundance flows. Inconsistency is one of the most common blocks on the spiritual path. Enthusiasm surges when a new practice is discovered, but without rhythm it dissipates quickly. The nervous system, accustomed to chaos or distraction, resists stability. The cycle of starting strong, pausing and starting again drains energy and erodes trust in oneself. Yet when rhythm is cultivated, even small actions accumulate into profound coherence. This is why ancient traditions emphasized ritual, simple gestures repeated at the same time each day, anchoring the spirit in predictability and trust. Modern life has lost much of this rhythm, replacing it with constant demands and shifting priorities, but the principle remains timeless. Alignment grows where repetition lives. At the heart of this is metacognition, the ability to notice thoughts without being consumed by them. Thoughts are like currents of electricity in the brain. They rise and pass. When observed with detachment, they lose their grip. This practice does not suppress the mind, but redirects it. By recognizing that thoughts are events, not truths, one creates the space to choose coherence. Over time, this gentle redirection builds stability, preventing the mind from derailing the body's rhythm. The practice is not about silencing the mind, but about dancing with it, acknowledging its presence while guiding it toward alignment. The paradox many struggle with is the tension between divine timing and human rhythm. It is tempting to wait for the perfect moment, the sign that confirms everything is aligned. Yet alignment is not discovered passively, it is built actively through rhythm. The universe meets those who are available, those who show up with presence, even in imperfection. You cannot control divine timing, but you can master the rhythm of your days, and it is within that rhythm that divine timing finds you. When your field is steady, opportunities align with your availability, and synchronicities become natural companions. To anchor this rhythm, consider a daily structure rooted in the essentials of energy. Begin with time. Dedicate a focused block of 25 to 40 minutes for intentional practice, whether it be meditation, writing, or study. Protect this time as sacred, as non-negotiable as eating or sleeping. Next, energy. Honor the body with rest, light, hydration, and nourishment. Prosperity cannot thrive in a body depleted of vitality. Movement is equally essential, not as performance but as presence. 10 minutes of conscious movement each day, whether stretching, walking, or dancing, grounds energy in the body and clears stagnant fields. Words are another pillar of rhythm. The promises you make to yourself, whether large or small, must be honored. Each broken promise weakens coherence, while each fulfilled word strengthens trust in your own field. This is why integrity, even in the smallest commitments, becomes magnetic. Finally, observation ties it all together. Pause for 2 minutes each evening to reflect. Where was my energy aligned today? Where did it fragment? This act of reflection is not judgment, but recalibration. Adjusting the dial of your frequency 1 degree at a time. Imagine the journey of alignment as a shift of 1% each day. A single degree may feel insignificant, but over weeks and months, it redirects the trajectory entirely. Like a ship at sea, changing its course by 1 degree, you eventually find yourself in an entirely different destination. The routine of alignment is not about dramatic transformation overnight, but about steady navigation toward coherence. Small shifts compound, and coherence becomes the current carrying you forward. There are subtle traps to be mindful of along the way. A full calendar can feel productive, but when filled with distractions, it denies space for the essential. Productivity can also become an anesthetic, numbing emotions rather than integrating them. The practice of rhythm is not about doing more, but about doing with presence. A single intentional act carries more magnetic weight than a day filled with scattered activity. Consider the ritual of opening and closing your day. Choose gestures that mark these transitions clearly. A candle lit in the morning, a journal entry at night, a few breaths before sleep. These small anchors train the nervous system to recognize rhythm, to associate specific actions with presence. Over time, these gestures become more than rituals. They become gateways opening and closing the field of your day with coherence. Discipline, often misunderstood, is not rigid control, but consistent gentleness. It is the choice to return again and again, even when enthusiasm fades. This is the discipline of alignment, a softness repeated until it becomes strength. Each fulfilled commitment, no matter how small, builds confidence. Each pause to recalibrate rebuilds trust. The field becomes steady not through force but through rhythm, and in that steadiness, the universe finds a partner in co-creation. The invisible factor that undermines many is the quiet breaking of promises to oneself. Each time you say you will rest and do not, each time you vow to pause and then rush, the field fractures slightly. These fractures accumulate, leaving you with doubt and fatigue. To reverse this, begin with small promises, promises so gentle that they cannot be broken. Over time, you expand them, building coherence brick by brick. The universe does not demand perfection. It asks for constancy. Alignment is not an act, but a rhythm, not a destination, but a practice. Through small daily choices, time, energy, movement, word, observation, you stabilize your field. In this stability, the presence of the universe becomes clear, not as an extraordinary interruption, but as a natural flow. The signs appear, prosperity anchors, and guidance becomes ordinary. By transforming small decisions into a rhythm of coherence, you become the steady ground upon which abundance can land, grow, and flourish. The journey we have walked together in this video has been a return to what is most essential, the recognition that coherence begins with the decision to prioritize yourself. It is not an act of isolation, but of alignment. Each breath of awareness, each boundary honored, each gentle repetition of rhythm becomes a declaration to the universe that you are ready to be guided. Prosperity, clarity, and healing are not events to chase, but frequencies to embody. And when you embody them, the universe responds with synchronicities so precise that chance can no longer explain them. To prioritize yourself is to weave trust into your field. To cultivate coherence is to quiet the noise and let the subtle become audible. To align rhythm is to become available for divine timing. These are not abstract ideas but lived realities. They unfold in the stillness of your mornings, in the words you keep with yourself, in the silence where your heart and mind finally breathe in harmony. The message of this journey is simple yet profound. You are not powerless, nor are you disconnected. The universe has always been in dialogue with you. By caring for your own energy, you tune the instrument of your life, and in that tuning, guidance flows, prosperity stabilizes, and your path becomes luminous. May this coherence become your daily practice, and may your frequency carry you gently yet powerfully into the reality that has always been waiting for you. Before you leave this space, take a moment to ask yourself one question. What would change in your life if you truly believed that the universe has been speaking to you all along, waiting only for your coherence to listen? This is not a rhetorical thought. It is an invitation to pause and feel. If the resonance of this journey has touched you, allow it to continue. Subscribe to this channel so that you can keep walking deeper into practices that bring clarity, abundance, and connection. By subscribing, you are not simply following content. You are choosing to remain in rhythm with a community of seekers who, like you, are ready to elevate their frequency. And do not stop here. Continue watching the next video that now appears on your screen. It is the natural next step in your path of coherence and alignment with the universe.